You packed your carry-on, arrived early, feeling prepared like the pro traveler you are. What if your trusted bag suddenly costs a $100 gate fee, or your go-to power bank gets confiscated on the spot, and the personal item bag is shrinking and your backpack may not qualify? Rules on size and electronics are tightening. A standardization push is coming, and it will catch millions unprepared. Confusion for travelers means profit for airlines and their non-negotiable gate fees. Stick with me. I'll explain the key carry-on rules to avoid hassles and fees. First up, carry-on size, what's changing and how it affects you. Here's the rule that affects everyone: carry-on size. Dimensions used to vary, but a clear standard is emerging across major airlines. That standard is 22 by 14 by 9 inches. In metric, that's about 56 by 36 by 23 centimeters. Most important, those measurements include the wheels and the handles. Yes, wheels and handles count. Spinner wheels and collapsible handles now count, no exceptions. Major U.S. carriers, American, Delta, United, already follow these dimensions. The big change is stricter gate enforcement, not just posted numbers. Metal sizers are back in force, and some airports are testing automated scanners. If the scanner says you're over, there's no negotiating. It speeds boarding and ends arguments, but it also removes wiggle room. That once forgiving, oversized bag, its luck just ran out. If it doesn't fit, it won't fly overhead. Fail the sizer, and you'll pay steep gate check fees. First, measure your go-to carry-on with a tape. Don't eyeball it. Measure from handle tip to wheel bottoms. Next, let's get into personal items, what truly fits under the seat now. For as long as we can remember, the personal item has been the savvy traveler's secret weapon. It was that magical, undefined space for an extra pair of shoes, souvenirs, or even a bulky jacket. It was the overflow bag that rarely got a second glance. Well, that glorious gray area loophole is slamming shut. Airlines are cracking down hard, and the once vague definition of a personal item is being replaced with strict, specific dimensions. While it varies by airline, a common size you'll see is approximately 18 by 14 by 8 inches. However, some airlines like United use slightly different dimensions, such as 17 by 10 by 9 inches. Always double-check your specific airline's website before you pack. But the real change isn't just the numbers. It's the strict enforcement of the golden rule. Your bag must fit completely under the seat in front of you. No more corners sticking out, no more bulging into your neighbor's foot space, and definitely no encroaching on your own legroom. Gate agents are being trained to spot non-compliant personal items from a mile away. If yours looks even slightly too big, they can and will ask you to place it in a sizer to prove it fits. If it doesn't fit, it gets reclassified as a carry-on. And if you already have a primary carry-on, you'll be forced to check one of them right there at the gate, subject to those premium last-minute gate check fees. So what should you bring? Think soft-sided totes, slim backpacks that aren't overstuffed, and dedicated underseat roller bags. These are designed to be compressible and fit into tight spaces. Another great tip is to bring a packable duffel or tote. Keep it folded in your personal item. If you buy souvenirs, you can expand it and check your main carry-on on the way home, using the duffel for your personal items. Now here's a pro tip that will save you a major headache. Under-seat space is not universal. It varies dramatically depending on the aircraft. What fits perfectly under the seat of a wide-body Boeing 777 will absolutely not fit under the seat of a smaller regional jet, like a CRJ 900, which has significantly less space. And if you're in an aisle seat, be warned. The support strut for the row of seats often cuts into your available space even further. Before you fly, check your aircraft type on your booking or the airline's app. If you see a smaller regional jet listed, you need to be extra conservative with your personal item size and how much you pack into it. Next, let's get into carry-on weight limits. You might be wondering why scales are suddenly appearing at the boarding gate. The reasons are threefold: safety, fuel efficiency, and of course, revenue. Overloaded overhead bins can be a hazard, and lighter planes burn less fuel. For many domestic U.S. travelers, carry-on weight has largely been an afterthought. but that is changing, and fast. More and more, airlines are getting serious about enforcing these limits, a practice that has long been standard across Europe, Asia, and Australia. The typical weight limit you'll encounter is between 8 and 10 kilograms, which is roughly 17 to 22 pounds. That's not a lot of wiggle room, especially for a longer trip. While major U.S. carriers like American, Delta, and United don't typically publish weight limits for standard economy, it's a growing trend with low-cost carriers and on international routes. Always check your specific airline and fare class before you fly. Airlines like Qantas, Air New Zealand, and many European carriers have been weighing bags for years, and they are now enforcing these rules more strictly than ever, right at the gate. Some are even testing digital scales built right into check-in kiosks and boarding gates to streamline the process. If your bag flashes red for being overweight, you're stuck with a difficult last-minute decision. So what happens if your bag is too heavy? You have two choices. Pay a hefty gate check fee, which is almost always more expensive than checking a bag online, or start frantically pulling items out right there in the boarding line. Neither is a great way to start your trip. Here's the pro-traveler strategy. First, weigh your packed carry-on at home. A simple handheld luggage scale is a small investment that can save you a fortune and a lot of stress. Don't wait for the airport to find out you've overpacked. Second, wear your heaviest items. That means your bulkiest jacket, your hiking boots, or your heaviest pair of jeans. This simple trick shifts that weight off the scale and onto your person, where it doesn't count against your limit. Finally, be ruthless in your packing. A great rule of thumb is the 3-use rule. If you don't realistically see yourself using an item at least 3 times on your trip, it probably doesn't deserve the precious space or weight. Consider leaving it behind. It's time to embrace minimalist packing, not just as a travel philosophy, but as a crucial financial and logistical necessity in this new era of air travel. Next, let's get into the battery rule. What flies and what won't. Now we come to a significant and potentially trip-ruining rule. This isn't a new rule for 2026, but its enforcement is getting much stricter, and for good reason. The risk of a lithium battery fire in the cargo hold is a serious safety concern. I'm talking about the regulations for lithium-ion batteries, specifically in smart luggage and power banks. The rule itself is brutally strict. If your luggage contains a lithium-ion battery that cannot be removed without using a tool, the bag is banned from flying. Period. It cannot go in the cabin, and it absolutely cannot go in the cargo hold. This applies to a huge range of products. Smart luggage with built-in chargers, GPS trackers, or electronic locks. It also affects high-capacity power banks where the battery is integrated, and some e-cigarettes or vapes, which must be in your carry-on and can't be charged on board. However, there's good news for small trackers like AirTags that use coin cell batteries. Those are generally allowed in both carry-on and checked bags. But large batteries, like those for e-bikes or scooters, are almost always prohibited entirely. The key word here is removable. And the TSA's definition means you must be able to pop the battery out with your hands, using a simple latch or release. If you have to unzip the lining and perform surgery on your bag with a screwdriver, it is not considered removable. Here's the part that catches everyone off guard. You may be asked to prove it. A TSA agent or airline employee can ask you to physically demonstrate that the battery detaches. If you can't remove it on the spot, you'll be faced with an impossible choice. Either abandon your expensive smart bag or try to check an empty suitcase while frantically stuffing its contents into an overpriced, flimsy bag from an airport gift shop. It's a stressful, costly, and entirely avoidable situation. All spare lithium batteries and power banks must be in your carry-on. They are forbidden in checked bags. Pay attention to the watt-hour rating. Generally, batteries up to 100 watt-hours are fine. For larger ones between 100 and 160 watt-hours, you'll need airline approval, and quantities are limited. Anything over 160 watt-hours is strictly prohibited. Okay, let's take a quick pause. If you're finding this information helpful, do me a favor and hit that like button. It lets me know I'm on the right track. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. The rules are always changing, and you don't want to be the last to know. Next, let's get into the 311 rule and CT scanners, what to expect at different airports. For nearly 2 decades, we've all chanted the 311 mantra, liquids in containers of 3.4 ounces, 100 milliliters or less in one single quart-sized bag. The good news? The 311 rule itself is not changing. The bad news? How and where it's enforced is becoming an airport lottery. You've probably heard about the fancy new CT scanners being rolled out at airports. These machines create a detailed 3D image of your bag's contents. And at airports with these scanners, you can often leave your liquids and laptops inside your bag. But here's the catch. The rollout of this technology is slow and inconsistent. While major hubs are getting these scanners, hundreds of smaller airports won't have them for years. Even at airports that do have them, they might only be in some security lanes, like TSA pre-check, but not others. This creates massive confusion. You might breeze through security at your home airport, only to fly back from a smaller one where a TSA agent is yelling at you for not taking your liquids out. The rule of thumb is this: always pack as if you're going through the old system. Keep that quart-sized bag easily accessible. If you get to a lane with a new CT scanner, consider it a lucky bonus. If you plan for the worst, you'll never be caught unprepared. Remember, medically necessary liquids are still exempt from the 3.4-ounce limit. However, you must declare them to a TSA officer before your bag goes through the scanner. So, let's recap the biggest travel trends for 2026. First, size matters more than ever. The common standard is 22 by 14 by 9 inches, and enforcement is getting tougher. Measure your bag. Second, weight is no longer just a suggestion for many airlines. Expect to see scales at the gate, with a limit trending toward 17 to 22 pounds. Weigh your bag. Third is the battery rule. If your smart luggage has a non-removable lithium-ion battery, it is banned from flying. Check your battery. And fourth, technology is creating inconsistency. While new CT scanners are being rolled out, the process is slow. Always be prepared for the classic 311 rule. The age of stuff it and go is ending. The shift is towards standardization and stricter enforcement, which removes gray areas but also all flexibility. Airlines and airports are enforcing rules more seriously, often with systems that don't care about excuses. The time to adapt is now, not when you're standing at the gate with a flight to catch. Now I want to hear from you. Which one of these rules are you most concerned about? Is it the size crackdown, the weight limits, or the confusing battery regulations? Let me know in the comments below and share your best packing tips to help other travelers navigate this new landscape. Your experience could be the one thing that saves someone else's trip. And if you want to stay ahead of all the changes, make sure you're subscribed for more travel updates. Thanks for watching and travel safe. Quick note before we wrap, here are the project settings used.